Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. Today we are going to talk about focus and concentration. For those who don't know me, my name is Zuzana Pšenáková. I am a sports psychologist. I worked with professional athletes and also young athletes for almost 9 years now. And today I'm really glad to share this presentation with you because I think focus is one of the fundamental skills, mental skills, that athletes have to develop to perform at their best. Okay, so the first question that I have for you is, what is focus for you? What does it actually mean? Maybe just pause the presentation for a little bit and try to answer the question. So focus is a conscious direction of our attention. Okay, so it's something that we concentrate our energy and our focus on. It's the ability to focus on specific skill, like tracking the ball or the teammate's movement, and not get distracted by what's happening around us or in our own mind. Okay, so it's about clearing out the distraction, and it's about kind of narrowing the focus on what's important in the game. The problem is that sometimes we lose our focus because of the distractions, because of some emotions that are around us or inside us, it's a problem because then we don't perform well. If we lose our focus, it slows down our decision making. So in football, which is a very dynamic and fast sport where you have to react to everything that's happening around you, it's important that you can make quick and right decisions. If we don't focus well, then the decision making is slow and sometimes it's also wrong. So we make bad decisions because we don't know that there is a player behind us, because we are focused on something in the stands, for example. Okay? So first, that the negative impact if we don't focus well is definitely decision making. It's following tactics, of course, that's similar to decision making. So if we don't focus well, we sometimes lose. If we don't focus well, we sometimes don't do what's expected of us. So we don't follow the player, we don't close the space that we are meant to close, we don't follow the tactics, right? It's hard for us to switch between offense and defense. So if we are not focused well, for example, one of our teammates loses the ball and we have to go back to defense, we are also sometimes slow and we don't react fast enough. And it can create a problem for us or for the team. It's also important to focus well because of many distractions that are in football. For example, like I mentioned in the beginning, it's about the stand, so it's about fans, it's about maybe some provocations from other players, maybe sometimes it's our own emotions that we have in our body and in our mind. Sometimes it's about bad weather, bad pitch, sometimes it's about whatever the coach told you before and you are not happy about it and you are still thinking about it. It doesn't matter. It's a distraction that we need to block out before we enter the pitch and before the game starts, or when the game is still going on. Okay. Also, if we concentrate well, we are able to handle pressure and stress much better. We're gonna talk about three main pillars of concentration, and we're gonna include this pressure handling as well into it. Okay, so really concentration is an important skill, because if we don't concentrate well, everything else falls apart. You can be confident, you can handle pressure well, you can be able to control your emotions well, but if you don't concentrate, if you don't focus, then everything is just kind of not important. Concentration is the number one skill that athletes should learn to be able to perform at their best. Okay. So in this slide, we have a Nideffer's model of focus in sport. So there are 4 types of concentration that we use also in football. It's narrow or broad, it's internal or external. Okay, so the first one, for example, narrow external, is about watching the flying ball during the corner kick. Okay, so it's very narrow. We focus on one specific object, but it's something that's happening around us, not inside us. Okay, narrow internal is, for example, controlling our stressful thoughts. Again, it's a concrete thing or thought that we are focused on. So that's narrow, and it's internal, so it's happening around us. Then we have the second group of concentration, or of types of concentration, and it's broad, which means that we focus on many objects at one time. So, for example, broad and external is checking the position of several other players that are around us, or maybe it's teammates, maybe it's opponents, but it's checking more players, not just one. Broad internal is, again, internal means it's happening inside us, so inside our mind, and it's broad, so it's many objects that I need to consider. So, for example, it could be the coach deciding on tactics during the match. Now, the key to be able to focus is to know when to use what kind of concentration. Okay, so sometimes we need to really focus on one object. Sometimes we need to focus on the position of the players. Sometimes we need to handle our emotions, so we need to kind of go inside our mind. Sometimes we need to think about, okay, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? What do we need to change? So we need to consider more objects. Okay, so it's about, so in the game, also when you think about the game, maybe think about the situations, so when you use which concentration type. And it's important that you start to kind of learn to use the proper type at the appropriate time. Okay, so for example, during the corner kick, I can't be focused on what is our offense. If it's a defensive kick, I can't think about what is our offense strategy right now. Okay, I need to focus on the player, I need to focus on the space where I need to be, and I need to focus on where the ball is flying, for example. Okay, I'm very interested in what situation is it difficult for you to keep focused. Right now, I really need you to pause the presentation and try to write down concrete situations when it's difficult for you to stay focused in the game or in a training. Okay, just use 5 minutes to be very precise. Okay, so now I have different types of distractors. I've already mentioned a few, but I have different distractors that usually cause that the athletes lose their focus. Okay, so let's look at it. It's, for example, our energy level. So that's how tired we are. If we are very tired, we usually lose our focus more easily, which means that a good sleep, a good nutrition is definitely crucial for your focus, definitely crucial for your performance. So make sure you get enough fitness, enough sleep, enough nutrition before the game and before the training. It's also our motivation. So if we are motivated, usually our focus is very, very good. If we don't care about the game, if we don't care about the training, we usually don't focus well. Okay, so we need to be motivated to stay focused. Sometimes our past or what already happened in the game influence us, which means that, for example, our past mistakes, like we didn't score a clear chance, or we concede a goal very easily. So our past mistakes usually influence our focus because we tend to think about them even when we can't change them anymore. So we tend to think about them. It's also our personal life that can distract our focus. So if we struggle in our personal life, it can kind of come up into one's mind, and it's a problem during training or a game. It's also our emotions that can distract us. If we are angry, if we get frustrated, if we, for example, feel disappointed or sad, usually our thoughts and our emotions distract our focus, so we are not concentrated on what's happening around us on the game, but we are concentrated on handling the emotion and on maybe what already happened, or maybe what's gonna happen. We are worried about what's gonna happen. So that's something that we need to also come back from and focus on the game. Sometimes what I can see, it's players tend to get distracted by referees, especially by their decisions. So sometimes we get angry at referees, get frustrated at referees, and it also causes us to lose the focus. Sometimes it's spectators, so fans and someone in the stands who is maybe not being so supportive, and we tend to kind of listen to what they are saying. Sometimes we answer, sometimes we don't answer, but it's something that also can get into our mind, and then we don't focus on the game. And of course, stress and pressure. If we are too stressed, we can't focus on what's happening around us and on the game, and we focus on handling the pressure. We focus on handling the stress that we feel. Here you can see a good example of busy mind. Okay, so for example, this kind of player didn't score in a big chance, and is still thinking about it. We can see that the player is also thinking about the referee, and that maybe the referee didn't give them penalty when the player thinks that they should give them penalty. The player also thinks about provocations from the other team, and is kind of concerned, or he wants to reply to them. And then there is a very small amount of percentage of focus which is focused on the game. Okay, and it's normal, because during the match the emotions go up and down. That's normal, but we need to, and our goal is to really keep our mind focused on the game, because we perform at our best when we just play, when we don't care about what the fans are saying, or what the referee is, what kind of decision he's making, or if we made any mistakes. We are not worried about the future, like if we're gonna win or we're not gonna win. We perform at our best when we just play, which means that we need to have a clear mind, really clear mind, that is focused only on the game, because every time we focus on something else, we lose the percentage, like you could see at the slide before. We lose the percentage of the focus that can be focused on the game and is focused on something completely different. Okay, and if we have really small amount of percentage of the focus that's focused on the game, then how is the performance gonna look like? Usually it doesn't look very good. Okay, so we don't play at our best when we are focused on different things and not the game. So we are gonna talk about three main kind of pillars of good concentration, good focus in the game. The first one is staying in the present moment. This is a key. If we are able to be here and now, which means we are here in the present moment, it doesn't matter that we made a mistake. We don't care about, or we don't think about if we're gonna win or lose, or what the coach is gonna tell me, if he's gonna criticize me or not criticize me, if I'm gonna play the next game or not, then we are able to really kind of focus on the game, and we are able to make the right decisions. We are able to play at our best. Okay, so how it actually looks in the game. Here we have the present moment, and then what's happening sometimes is that players tend to think about what already happened in the game. Okay, so we tend to think about our mistakes. We tend to think about, we consider it a really easy goal. We think about games before that something didn't go well, that I'm not really doing well the last 2-3 games. And we tend to stay in the past. But if we are in the past, in our mind, if we don't focus on the game, again, what's happening? Our performance is not well, is not good. Our confidence then goes down, and usually the performance is just going worse and worse and worse during the game. Or the second type is we travel in time and we think about the future. Okay, what if I don't play well, and the next game I'm not gonna play well? The coach is gonna sub me. Okay, or what if we lose this game? What's gonna happen after that? Okay, we tend to worry about the future, and the worries create stress. It creates again loss of focus, that we don't focus on what's happening around us, and our performance is usually bad. Okay, if we think about our past, it's usually it creates emotions of anger, maybe sadness, maybe low confidence. If we think about the future, it usually is like fear about what's gonna happen. We are concerned about what if this happens, what's gonna happen when, and etc. Okay, the key to good concentration is to kind of always try to come back to the present. It's normal that our mind travels in time. That's normal. It's gonna happen. And the key is to just get back in the present, get back into what's happening around the pitch, and get back into what's my next task. Okay, so you can use concentration cues for this. The concentration cues is something that's gonna help you come back to the present. What is it? It can be the ball, that if I realize that I'm kind of stuck in the future, I start to think about what's gonna happen, or I'm stuck in the past, like I maybe criticize myself for the mistake that I already made, and I still kind of think about it. I can ask myself, okay, where's the ball? And I need to again narrow my focus, like we talked about the 4 types of concentrations. I narrow my focus on the ball, which is gonna help me come back to the present, come back to the game. I can also, and a very good concentration cue is communication. If I communicate on the pitch, if I coach my players, so I can say, for example, there's a player behind your back, or you're free, you can go, then I can't really think about what happened before or what's gonna happen. I'm in the moment. Okay, so if you want to stay focused, communicate on the pitch, because it helps you kind of focus on what's around you, and it keeps you in the moment. Again, also what I can kind of rely on when it comes to getting back to the present moment, I can check where the opponent player that I should mark is. I can kind of check the concentration or the position of my closest teammates on the pitch, or I can check if I'm in the right space tactically. Okay, if I'm doing my tactical task well. Sometimes when the player doesn't focus, they kind of they lose out of the system that they should play, and they create problem for themselves, but also for their team. So really, maybe the main question that you need to ask yourself every time you lose focus is, what is my next task? What do I need to do right now? And give yourself some kind of instruction. Okay, Zuzka, go mark that player, for example. If I do this, I kind of come back from the future, I come back from the past, and I'm here in the present moment, and I can focus well on what's happening around me. Okay, second pillar of good concentration is to focus on what you can control. Now, it's similar to the busy and clear mind that we had, the busy and focused mind that we had already. And it's because I meet many players who kind of try to control what they actually can't control, and they lose their focus, they lose their energy to things that they can't even influence, can't even change. Okay, so if we can look at it, you can control your emotions, your performance, your activity, your effort, your communication, your focus. You can control your lifestyle and training. So everything that's concerns you, you can control. Everything that's outside, so people, referee, opponent's provocation, coach's decision, a mistake that you already made, the weather, the field quality, performance of your teammates, you can't control 100%. And if we lose our energy to things like referee or coach's decisions, we lose our focus, we lose our energy, and the performance is just we are not feeling well. Our emotions are usually not very positive, but also our performance is not as good as it could be. Okay, so every time maybe you want to if you have a problem with this, if you often get frustrated by things you can't control, try to think about 5 things that you can do in your performance that you can just start doing or stop doing, and it only depends on you if you start it or stop it. Okay, so it doesn't depend on everyone else, and those are the things that you should focus on the most. Okay, the third and again very important part of developing focus is focusing on task. Now we have again 2 different focuses, or 2 different types of focus. One is focusing on task, and the other one is focusing on result. Now what it means, I can give you an example. If I focus on the task, I focus on, for example, a good first touch. I focus on the quality of my passes. I focus on the tactical tasks that I need to do. I focus on what I need to do. If I focus on a result, it means that I think about the outcome. If we're gonna lose, if we're gonna win, if the coach is gonna sub me or not. I think about the result of my action. The first one is that I think about doing doing the action well, or doing the things I need to do well. The second one is focusing on the outcomes of my action. If I focus on the result, again, where am I? Am I in the past? Am I in the present? Am I in the future? I'm usually in the future. So that's the first thing that's wrong. I usually think about things that I can't control at the moment. Focusing on the result is increasing the pressure and stress. Especially it can also happen before the game. Like you think about, okay, we really need to win this game. I really want to, for example, qualify for some kind of tournament, or I really want to get higher in the table, in the league table. It creates pressure. Okay. It can lead to the yips, it's called. It means when the performance is just going down, when you can see a player who usually gives really good performance, and one day he just kind of it's just wrong. It's called the yips, like I'm not doing well in my performance. So if you, for example, are if you're facing a really good opponent or a really good match, if you're before a really important match, try to think about things that you can actually do in the match. Try to think about things how you are doing them well, not what you don't want to happen, but what you want to happen. But try to really think about the performance rather than the outcome of the match. Okay. The positive thing is that sometimes it can increase motivation. If we focus on the result, it can increase the motivation. But this is very tricky, because sometimes if we are too motivated, again, we lose our focus, when we start to do things that we are not trained for, and then the performance is not well. Okay, so if we compare it to the focus on the task, if we are focused on the task, we stay in the present, we increase our focus, we allow the automatization of our movements to happen. So what we are trained for, the body does. And sometimes it can lead to performance without a sparkle, but it's very important to balance. Okay, I really want to win the game, but first of all, I focus on the performance, and I know that if I have a good performance, I higher my chances to win the game. Okay, so it's okay to want to win the game, of course, to focus on, okay, well, I really want to win, I really want to play well, but it should always be the second thing. Okay, the first place, there should be what I need to do, what are my tasks in offense, what are my tasks in defense, how do I want to support my teammates, how do I want to react to mistakes I made, how do I want to keep my focus. Those are the things that you should focus on before the game. And of course, use the motivation to win as a fuel, as something that kind of helps you to get through the hard times during the game, gets you to keep going even if you are tired, but it shouldn't be on the first place because it can create a big pressure. Okay, so how to work on your focus, those were the three main pillars. So first of all, stay in the present. Second, it was focus on what you can control. And third, always focus on the task rather than the outcome of your actions, rather than the results. Okay, use the result as a fuel, but you should be always in charge of where your focus is going, and it should be going to things that you want to do, not what's gonna happen if I don't do them well, for example. Okay, so how to work on your focus. Here we have 3 steps on how you can refocus when you realize that you lost your focus. The first step, most important one, is to notice that you lost your focus. Now, if this doesn't happen, if you don't kind of check yourself regularly during the game, if you have a good focus, then you can follow the next steps. Okay, so try to really kind of check yourself during the game. I don't know, every 5 minutes, if your focus is good, if your emotions are good, if you are staying in the present, and notice if there is some kind of distraction that it's blocking out your focus. Okay, so first, notice when you lose your focus. Second step is to really give it a stop. Try to tell yourself, okay, stop, this is not what I want to think about right now, this is not what I want to focus on. And then use the third phase is refocus. Use the concentration cues that we talked about to get back into what's necessary right now. So it can be watching the ball, it can be checking the position of your teammates or your opponents. And I highly recommend to communicate on the pitch, whether you lose your focus or you don't. Communication is going to help you stay in the game, stay in the present, and stay focused, stay sharp. Okay. Try to focus on task that's at hand, not the result. So always try to a good focus is when you try to think about your next task. Okay, so not 5 minutes before, but really these seconds that I have before me or that I have in front of me. What do I need to do right now in this moment? There is no room for evaluation during the performance. So if you try not to evaluate your performance during the performance, so if you made a mistake, for example, try not to be too self-critical, try not to kind of dwell on it too well, too long. Try not to not to kind of evaluate how you are doing during the performance. There is always time after the game, after the match, to evaluate your performance, and it's a good thing. But during the match, always try to kind of move on to the next thing, move on to the next task. It's good that the concentration is a skill that you can train, whether it's training, whether it's school, whether it's briefing, it doesn't matter, but it's very trainable. So if you want to improve your focus, try to, for example, give yourself every single day 5 minutes that you focus only on your breathing. And every time your mind wanders, it goes into the future. You start to think about what you're gonna have for dinner, for example. Always come back to the breath. Okay, that's one thing that you can do. It can be also in school. If you have a lesson, the teacher is talking, and you lose your focus. Try to give yourself, okay, this 10 minutes I'm gonna really listen. Every time I lose my focus, I'm gonna come back. Also, the same thing in the training. It's okay to train it. The more you train it, the better the focus is going to be. And train the ability to notice that you lose your focus, stop it, and then refocus on what you need to focus on. Okay, it's very trainable, so I really highly recommend you to train it during every single day, every single activity that you do. So this was the basic kind of information about focus, basic strategies to improve your focus, the main important one, and I really hope it was useful for you, and I would like to thank you for your attention and wish you a good rest of your day.